Gender in media, representation beyond the binary. Media is a gendered institution that is largely cisgender and disproportionately in favor of the gender binary. But what about the visibility in media of individuals with non-conforming gender identities and expressions? How do you feel the media conveys gender roles? Doing gender, the way we obey and break gender rules. Is everyone represented? Did you know that 90% of people are familiar with LGB, but only 20% familiar with the T? Why using feminist theory is the best fit? Feminist theory looks at the way inequality is created of social structures such as race, class, and gender. The media often perpetuates systematic discrimination by only reporting on trans and gender nonconforming people when we're celebrities or when we're dead. Quote by Tori Cooper. 2020 alone accounts for 37 known murders of transgender and nonconforming individuals in the U.S., though the number is likely much higher. According to a study done at Fenway Institute, negative trans-related media is associated with adverse mental health outcomes. Other forms of popular media around transgender individuals has been to objectify them and argue about their human rights, like bathroom use. They're often not granted the respect or privacy in everyday conversations.
Transgender people have made lately. Let's not get too complacent about how far we've come, because they still face a host of obstacles. Even when the news media are trying to be supportive, they can make dumb mistakes.
Your private parts are different now, aren't they? I don't want to talk about it because it's really personal.
Don't you feel funny with the wrong genitalia? Not as a joke, you stand up in the women's bathroom.
You've got breast implants. They're tasteful, whatever's going on there. Thank you.
So if I saw you undressed, you would look like a woman to me, totally. Yes?
What are you doing?
1975 was a revolutionary media advance for nonconforming individuals with the release of the Rocky Horror Picture Show created by non-binary actor and producer Richard O'Brien. While other mainstream movies tried to replicate this anarchy towards gender rules, it's been commonly used as comedic relief and has been invalidating to those in the community. Other invalidating media exposure has been in the form of articles targeting the parents of non-conforming children and using their children and confusing them about their gender. The Crying Game was the first movie with a transgender protagonist, but was played by a cisgender man. However, when the Rocky Horror Picture Show was remade in 2016, they did cast transgender actress Laverne Cox for the role of Frankenfurter. A study by GLAAD concluded that media representation had a correlation with acceptance for the community.
Transgender people need to step up and start to represent within Hollywood. And I think that we are starting to do that. I'm always the guy that tries to find the positive. As far as I'm concerned, when films are being made with transgender people in it, and hopefully a representation that's positive, what does that do? It educates the world on transgender people. That's with any minority or any group of people that when you start to put them in film, which is huge, film reaches the whole world, you now get to see a representation of somebody you might never have seen before. This is why it's dangerous to represent a specific kind of person in a negative way. Because transgender people have been represented negatively throughout history of film. We are now in a position to change that negative representation into positive representation, and that's what I see. I see something positive happening, not anything negative.
Representation in the mainstream media. More and more artists, activists, and producers are pushing for more inclusive media representation. Alex Nawal, Sam Smith, Ruby Rose, and Scott Sheffield. Josie Tota and Lachlan Watson. Ian Alexander and Isis King. Though it's come a long way, GLAAD has the Transgender Media Program, which is partnered with 50/50 2020, and is an open letter to support several production companies, talent agencies, and advocacy groups to help continue the inclusion.